Okay, I would like to welcome everyone. I need a motion to go into open session for the special meeting, for the meeting in regards to the interviews for board meeting, for a candidate for board meeting, for board. My apologies. Ms. Vaughn.
Mr. Hyde,
Present.
Ms. Hubbard,
Here.
Ms. Vaughn absent, Ms. Jones,
Here.
Mr. Davis,
I'm here.
Ms. Cousins.
Yes,
We have a quorum.
okay. We're going to do a roundabout. If all the board members have questions, a question that you're ready for, Ms. Vaughn, if you can bring in our first candidate. We can go over what the process would look like.
Mr. Moss, is he still in there? Yes, he is.
Good afternoon, Ms. Kim. If you can turn on your camera.
Okay. Okay. Hi.
Hello, is it Ms. Squirrels?
Yes.
Hello, Ms. Squirrels. How are you today?
I'm well, and you?
I'm fine. I am Ms. Cousins. I'm the president of the school board. We're going to start off by introducing ourselves. And after we introduce ourselves, we're going to go through a roundabout and ask you questions. And after that, we'll give you an opportunity to provide an introduction of yourself and ask whatever questions that you may have or give whatever input that you would like to have in regards to yourself as to why you are looking to be a part of the board.
Okay.
With that, I'll pass it on to Vice President Davis.
I get the first question.
You get to introduce yourself and provide a question.
Sorry. Yeah, my name is Matt Davis. I am currently Vice President of the Board of Education. I was elected in April of 2021, and my term is expiring April approximately 8th, 2025. So if you're chosen to be on the board, I won't be on with you long, but I'm here to help. My first question is, what is your understanding of the greatest challenge that the district currently faces, and what are some possible solutions that you may bring to the board to solve those?
Okay. You said, what is the challenges?
What would you say is the biggest challenge currently facing the district?
And then the solution?
Yes.
Okay. I think right now, the biggest thing that is facing the district is how the public views the board with the situation that went on with the superintendent selection and the misappropriation or whatever of funds. I think that the board has been handling it pretty well as far as letting the public know what's going on, what they're doing, what they're trying to do, how to resolve it. I think that truly overshadowed what is important, which are our children. And I'm so sorry that it happened in our city. And that was my solution, is to offer, keeping everybody abreast of what's going on, being transparent, letting them know what's going on. Okay, we made a mistake. We're not perfect, but we go from here. We don't stay here. We go from here.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, next we will have Secretary Jones.
I have a question because first, my name is Donna Jones and I'm board secretary. I've been on the board since 2006. President Cousin, I have a question though. I have two sets of questions, so I'm not sure which set you guys are operating from. The number two would be describe your current and past involvement with St. Louis Public Schools. So which set of questions am I to use?
As board members, you all are, you have the option to ask whatever questions you all choose to ask them. Yes.
Okay, well, I have a set of questions. Okay. Good evening, Ms. Qualls.
Good evening, Ms. Downs. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Okay, I would like to know, what is your understanding of charter schools and how they operate?
My understanding of charter schools, which is very limited, is that they are, I don't want to say subsidiary, but they are another option for children, that the board and taxpayers finance. And it's supposed to give, I guess, give the parents and children options, choices. And that's basically all I know about charter schools, because I was always, my children always was in the public schools themselves.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Board Member Hubbard.
Hi, I'm Emily Hubbard. So my question is, tell us about your experience with SLPS and what's your understanding of how it operates?
My experience with the St. Louis Public Schools, is that correct? And how they operate? Okay, my experience with my 5 children and tons of little cousins was a good experience. We had some of the best teachers in our neighborhood schools. Our children were taught at a young age when there was a program. It was not something they read. They memorized it. They were taught to speak and speak effectively and with confidence. Our teachers that my children had, we had one teacher, oh my God, we went on so many field trips. I mean, it was like every week we were going on a field trip. But those kids scored off the chart. Those were some of the brightest kids. I liked at the time that they had a program, if your child was considered advanced, that you did not have to displace them. You still could leave them in their school, and a specialist came by for maybe an hour or two and work with your student. I like the fact that when my children left Yateman Middle School, they went into Gateway taking geometry. They were excellent teachers. I'm talking about, and I had 5 kids. I like the fact that they had the program where they could take college credit at Harris Stowe in their junior, senior years, which with 5 kids helped out a lot because they were picking up their basics at a cheaper rate as opposed to going to their choice college and paying more per credit hour. I love that. And I like that we had such parent participation. We had a lot of parent participation. And how they operate, I think that, and I must say, this is the first time I have ever worked or considered working with a board of education. I was the parent that went to the board of education with my concerns. I was that parent that would sign up and wait until I was called. I was the parent that was never given an answer. I was the parent that I was never given a follow-up. I guess you could say I wasn't always satisfied with the response, the lack of response that I got. That was me. That was my parent. I feel like the schools operate, the foundation is the children, and the schools, the parents, and the Board of Education, and the superintendent. That's how I thought it operated. A lot of things have changed, so I'm not sure. I'm coming as from a parent's perspective. So that's all I can tell you from a parent's perspective.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board Member Hikes.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Hikes. I've been on the school board for 2 years. And my question is, when I was running for the board, I stated some things that I would like to accomplish as a board member. In these last few, in that first debate they had, if you want to call it that, I noticed that everybody was saying that the school district is in shambles. So what I would like to ask you, if you are selected, what would you, as a board member, like to accomplish?
Okay, let me ask you this, Mr. Heights. You said that the school isn't challenged. That's what
In shambles.
shambles, in shambles.
That's what people were saying, that the school
Okay.
is in shambles. That's why they wanted to get on the board. But I was just asking you, if you are selected, what would you personally like to accomplish as a board member?
First, I don't think our schools are in shambles.
Me neither.
I still have family members. My grandchildren attend public schools, St. Louis City Public Schools. Do things change? Have things changed? Of course. Of course. It's not natural not to have change. Is all change good? Not always.
That's right.
But I would personally, my goal is that the emphasis as a parent, as a volunteer the last few years, the emphasis be placed on the parents. The parents have an obligation to send their children education ready. There is absolutely, to me, this is my opinion. And if I'm selected on the board, you will learn that I do have an opinion. Doesn't make it right, but I'm going to always say it in a manner that is not offensive to anyone. But I think too much has been given and not enough has been returned from the parents, because the parents are our children's first teacher from the womb to the time they get to preschool, kindergarten, or whatever. They have an obligation to send these kids education ready. I don't want to hear, oh, well, the teachers are supposed to nurture our children. Absolutely not. The teachers are supposed to teach what you put in those children. That's what it should be. I'm not trying to sound harsh. I just feel like parents need to be accountable as a parent. If they are accountable as a parent, it makes it easier for the teachers to teach their children, because 90% of the time with the teachers that I've seen in the last few years that I volunteered is spent on the child that's acting out. That's where the other children lose. They lose out because time is spent for that child. And each child we all have something. We all have something. And these children have so much more issues than what we were faced with growing up. So I understand that. And in a sense, we do nurture the children, but it should not be our primary job. It should not be the teachers. And thereby, when you're and what I also found that the kids that act out are usually your low performers. And once I act out and the teacher asked me to read a paragraph and I didn't feel comfortable or didn't know how to read it, and I act out, I pull the attention away from her original request. So once again, I skate by. I'm not embarrassed. I think that for me personally, I would like to see, and I'm sure there is a program because I was looking through some of the pamphlets and information I got, where they used to have parents as teachers. I would really like to like encourage the parents to come. Hey, look, you come and your kid can get some extra credit, or your kid can have extra time if they want to build a STEM project or whatever. Do something that would encourage more participation on their parents' part. Because if we don't have the parents' input, we can't be successful as we could be. And for those that are saying that the schools are in shambles, are usually the ones that are helping tear it down. In my opinion, once again, I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Raw. Okay, I am Ms. Cousins, Tony Cousins. I'm the president of the board. This is my 4 years in serving on the board, and I'm looking to seek reelection. My question to you is, what is your definition and understanding of board governance? And if put on the board, what do you see your role in that level of being board governance, and how do you plan or look to work in regards to the interim superintendent?
And how do I do what with the interim superintendent?
What do you see your role as in board governance in regards to working in conjunction with the superintendent?
I'm writing it down because sometimes as I get older, I'll forget stuff.
Oh, no, you're okay. You're fine.
And I think, from my understanding, the Board of Education, it should be a support vehicle for the superintendent, because from my understanding, once again, is that the board sets the budget and the superintendent is the Board of Education's employee. And I think that if we think like, if you take a circle and you make superintendent here and the board here, and you make this circle, the superintendent goes to the board goes to the superintendent. It's a circle, it's a team. It has to be a team to be successful. I think that we need, well, the board should be a little bit more visible in the schools, because when I was volunteered, I never saw a board member at our school ever. And if you're going to implement policies and your budget, and you're going to be an advocate, and those things that you put in place, how about going and checking out, see how are they being implemented? Is it working? Could it be tweaked? Is everything a policy written in stone? Is there room for improvisation to change a little something to make it a little better? Is it okay to even implement or suggest a change to a policy. Is that a part of the rules? The superintendent should be someone that everyone, all the board members, are comfortable with who that person is, that they are capable or qualified to do the job. There's nothing wrong, like I said in a prior question, that you make a mistake. It's something wrong when you make a mistake and you don't correct it. And that's with school board, parents, teachers, anyone. That's life. If we stay on the course that we see is detrimental and we do nothing about it, whose fault is it? It's your fault. It's my fault. It's our fault. That's where we have to be able to say, you know what? It's not working. We need to take this back to the board, the drawing board, to figure it out. You know, I tell my kids all the time, I would tell them all the time, teamwork makes the dream work. Teamwork makes the dream work. And everyone has a place. If you are a board member, you cannot be the superintendent. If you're the superintendent, you cannot be a board member. We have to stay in our respective lane. Everybody has a lane. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. If you're veering off into somebody else's lane, oops, made a mistake, sorry. Let me get back. Let me straighten it out.
Let everyone know that we have 3 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. I was just about to say that. Thank you so much, Ms. Kim. Is there anything you want to add in your last 3 minutes as to why you're seeking this position to fill on the school board?
Well, I was really sort of reluctant because I know I tend to, when I do something, I give it my all. And as I stated, I think this school district could be the best one in the state of Missouri. It has been. So the path has already been established. So why not just run with it, make it better? Get the input from your faculty, from your staff, from your students, from your parents. But what I don't particularly like is that some parents are allowed to run it and you can't run it. Once again, everybody has a place. Stay in your lane so that everyone can be successful. That's all. I'm all about peace in the valley. But while I want peace in the valley, sometimes you have to sway some of those flowers a little bit.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kim, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Vaughn.
Can I leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. You're
Okay,
welcome.
everyone, we have about two minutes. You can write whatever down you need to write down. We can break for 2 minutes.
And
And
just,
then we have 1 minute. I'm sorry.
just a heads up, the next applicant is not logged on yet.
Okay.
Oh, wait, she just logged on.
Who is the next applicant?
And her name is a Mrs. Cole. It is, I don't want, it's a Tashani Cole.
Tashani Cole. Okay, if you can, if anyone needs to step away, I actually need 1 minute to step away if I can for just a. Okay, it looks like we have everyone back. Ms. Vaughn, if you want to bring is it Ms. Cole? You want to bring Ms. Cole on in? I'm sorry, Mr. Moss is not you, it's Ms. Vaughn is actually Mr. Moss who brings them in, right?
Yeah, he's in contact.
Okay.
Hello,
Hello, Ms. Cole, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. We are going to do a roundabout. We're going to ask you some questions and then we'll allow you time, if time permits, for you to kind of share whatever you would like as to why you're looking to be a part of the board. We're going to go with introductions and then each board member will have the opportunity to ask a question and you can have the opportunity to answer. Okay?
Okay.
We're going to start with Mr. Davis, Vice President Davis. It's on you, sir.
Hi, Ms. Cole. Thank you for applying. Thanks for being here. My name is Matt Davis. I'm currently Vice President of the board. I was elected in April of 2021 and my term ends this April. My question to you is, what is your understanding of the biggest challenge that faces the district and what skills could you bring to help us solve that challenge?
I would say one of the biggest challenges that faces the district would be funding for the district and accessibility, such as resources that are available to the students and families that are in the district. So you're kind of looking at a web of things. Having to focus on providing educational resources, as well to families and communities that are under a certain wage threshold can be a bit challenging because there's other problems there that can exist, is what I would think are some of the biggest issues that the district may be facing. What can I bring to assist with some of those issues? I have experience with grants and funding. I'm not sure if that would apply if you all are able to obtain those or not, but I do have experience with finding grants and funding for programs involving the community and youth from my previous nonprofit background, and education, as well as previously I did work as a youth mentor advisor for multiple years throughout the city of St. Louis and have experience working one-on-one with the families that are in the area. So I would think that being able to discuss and look over programs that are presented that can help the teachers and the staff and the different members of the school district really implement those programs would be a skill set that I could bring to the table, because I come from being not only a parent, but also working on the other side as a teacher or with the students as well. So I've been able to see things from both points of views.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Secretary Jones.
Good evening. My name is Donna Jones, and I'm board secretary. I've been on the board since 2006. My question to you is, I've read through the information that you submitted, and I would like to know, from your past experience, what would you identify as one of the leading problems that our young people are facing right now in the community of education?
One of the leading problems that our students are facing in education. I would think that, I would say it's just kind of a generational gap. It's social media plays a large part in it. Being distracted, not necessarily feeling. I think that there is a large gap between them seeing the benefits of education versus right now the idea is I can become famous on TikTok. Why do I need school? I haven't seen anyone, So there's a social media gap that's affecting the students. And also I think having programs that are fun for them to do, engaging and considering them. A lot of the students probably aren't. I think there's a large. I think there's a large gap in just the values right now, and social media pushes a different type of value of what they can become. So now school has to play a larger part in maybe involving what the students think are important and fun for them to do, while also being able to have the different clubs and classes and getting them engaged in these clubs and classes and making, I guess, school important for them again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's my turn. So, hi, I'm Emily Hubbard. I have been on the board since November of 22. Not nearly as long as Ms. Donna. And my question is, what's your experience been with SLPS? Whether you were a student there or program worker there or parent, and what's your understanding of kind of how the district functions?
My experience with St. Louis Public School District varies. I worked for Better Family Life, which is a nonprofit that puts teachers into the classroom throughout different schools. And that's where my experience began, working in different schools within the city of St. Louis and teaching them, promoting health amongst teens and different curriculums, as well as also providing teacher assistance to students who had special needs. So I worked as a teacher, teaching particular programs, curriculums, and also working with the special school district at St. Louis Public Schools. You asked me what is it that I kind of see at the schools. I'm sorry.
Kind of your big picture view of how the district works from, what happens at our central offices to getting to the schools.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with what happens from the central office to what gets to the schools. But from what I can see how things function is that overall there's a standard curriculum, and that a lot of what I've seen is open and flexibility to the idea of putting in programs for the students to take part of. I will be honest and say I could definitely use more knowledge on how things transition from the main office to the classrooms. But as far as my work as being a teacher, I would just say that
You're on mute. Taja, Ms. Cole, you're on mute. Okay, there you go.
okay, my apologies. So what I was saying is I could use more knowledge as far as how things transition from the main decision makers to the classroom. I think I have more experience in St. Louis County with that. So I'm assuming if it's similar, then, you pretty much have the board, you have your administrators, you have the people that are over the principals at the school that are working with the different teachers to make sure the teachers are knowing what's going on within that school and how it needs to function, putting in different programs and making sure everything is spread across the board to focus on whatever needs to change, knowing what's going well for the school, knowing what the reading levels are, and just from those at the top, they get a high level view of what the rates are and what the scores are and where people are falling as far as testing, but then that information is given along to the different administrators to go over to the schools, and then the principals and the staff are working together to, I think each school is different, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Every school can be a little bit different once it comes down to it.
Thank you, Board Member Hubbard. Board Member Hikes.
Good evening, Ms. Cole. My name is Tracy Hikes. I've been on the school board since 2023. And my question to you is, what do you believe the overall purpose of the school board?
The overall purpose of the school board would be to be able to get the high level view of what is going on amongst the different schools within the district and be able to make an unbiased opinion as to what would be best to watch these students flourish. So there are going to be the directors that make the decisions on behalf of the students and the family, and making sure that the administrators and the staff is supported in what they do and heard, but are able to really get that high level and stay consistent in making sure that everyone is supported, I would say. Making sure that the administration is supported, but that the students and other voices are also heard.
Okay, I guess that leaves me. Okay, I'm Tony Cousins. I'm the president of the board. I've been on the board for, it'll be 4 years now. My question to you is, can you define what board governance is? The role that the board, that you foresee the board actually playing, and how it plays and how it aligns with the superintendent?
Well, in my experience with governing bodies, the board governance would be, we have the people that are on the board that discuss things amongst each other to make a high level, to have communications and make high level decisions as to what would be, what is going on within St. Louis Public School District, and how we need to navigate and steer things moving along from maybe month to month, from quarter to quarter. But those discussions are being had here, and then working with the superintendent in order to be the implementing body to go ahead and get that, make sure that the high schools, the junior high schools, the elementary schools are knowledgeable about what it is that the governing body has stated should be implemented, and so no one is overwhelmed. So you have the governing body who gives that information over to the superintendent, to the different grade levels, to the different schools, and it kind of trickles down like that, is what I would imagine that it was.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Could you tell us in these last couple of minutes, what was the reason for you applying, and what do you feel you can bring if chosen to being on the board?
My reason for applying is that I do have a heart for the people that are in my community, the families, the students. That's why I've devoted years of experience towards working within the community. I didn't really expect growing up to become a teacher or to necessarily do community work, but that's what I have aligned myself with for my recent adult work experience. So since 2018, I've been working with nonprofit organizations. It may not seem like a long time, but since coming out of college, that's pretty much what I've been focused on. Because I do see the potential in our students. And I think that as individuals, they deserve the opportunity to have a positive reflection. I'm also a parent. My sons are also St. Louis Public School District students as well. So watching them flourish, educating them, watching them flourish, I try to bring what it is that I've taught them into what it is that I also do with the other families and students that's involved. Both of my sons are a part of gifted programs. They both play instruments, violin and viola. They both take part in sports and extracurricular activities. And I know how challenging it is because I'm also a single mom. And I understand and reflect the community. So because I understand these challenges and know that there's a variety of different families that are in the city of St. Louis with different situations that they may be going through. I don't expect to represent every single one of the families, but I will say that I have a level of understanding and respect that comes to, or patience that comes with it, because I've experienced it. And what do I think I can bring to the district by being a part of the board is my experience working with the individual youth, working at St. Louis Job Corps, where a lot of students came in and out of where they maybe regular schooling wasn't a good fit for them. But just being in general, able to work face to face with students, and also being a mother, I understand things from both points of views, from the family standpoint, the teacher point of view, and I also bring more high level experience as far as leading coalitions. I lead a digital equity coalition right now, where we're gaining funding and support to be able to do things to help evolve digital equity. One of the focuses for digital equity is to help people who are underneath a certain earning gap, or to help people with lower literacy skills. So because of my partnerships throughout the community and working with schools and staff and teachers and special school district, I'm actively doing things that can help our students without being a part of the board. So while being a part of the board, I believe I can also assist, whether that be with having knowledge on programs, grants, funding. I know that's very wordy, but you know, it's kind of a lot of reasons why. And yeah, I definitely want to be a part of being able to have those conversations and bring in my experience to the table.
Thank you so much for that great insight, Ms. Cole. Thank you for your time.
Welcome. Thank you.
Without further ado, that's all we have for you. You have we have taken up a great deal of your time. You have done a great job with answering questions, and we will be moving forward with more interviews for tonight. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
You as well.
Bye.
Again, board members, I know we have time. We have, what, 10 minutes to go. Ms. Vaughn, do we have the next person?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Okay, so we have about, what, 10 minutes? So if anyone needs to take a break, I would advise you all to use it now, because I know we will be having a long night ahead of us. Okay, Ms. Bond, I think we're waiting for Secretary Jones. There she is. There's my Secretary Jones.
Next, we will have Sabrina Miller.
Okay, is she available?
She is, we are getting her in now. Yes.
Okay, Ms. Miller.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Ms. Miller. We are going to do a roundabout. We will start off with introducing ourselves, and each board member will have the opportunity to ask a question where you will be provided time to respond. And if time permits toward the end, you will have the opportunity to share why you have chosen to apply to fill this seat as a board member. And then we will give you the opportunity to get your time back for the rest of the night. With that being said, I will
Yes,
turn
ma'am.
it,
Thank
I will
you.
turn it over to Vice President Davis.
Hi, Ms. Miller. Thanks so much for applying and joining us tonight. My name is Matt Davis. I'm currently Vice President of the board. I've been on the board since April of 2021. My term ends this April. My question, I noticed in your application you said you were a former employee of St. Louis Public Schools, that you feel a deep calling to get our district back on track. Kind of to that end, first of all, could you tell us what you did for St. Louis Public Schools and when you worked here? And then also, in terms of the rest of your application, could you tell us what you think is the biggest obstacle to getting our district back on track, and from your perspective, what you could bring to the board to help us do that?
Thank you, Mr. Davis, for that question. I actually just resigned from St. Louis Public Schools in December. I worked for the finance department as an accounts payable clerk. I'm getting ready to graduate with my degree in business administration with the emphasis on forensic fraud investigation. I resigned from St. Louis Public Schools because I had a better opportunity to work in that field at another company. And I felt at the time that there was no advancement for me once I got my degree. And then in 9 months, I'll have a master's degree and an MBA. And I just felt like it was time for me to work in the field that my degree was in. I think that I bring the finance side to the board because I have worked behind the scenes. And for more background, I used to be a school secretary before I came downtown to 801. And part of my job as a school secretary was to work closely with the families as well as the staff in the school. So I have the experience of working within the community, helping the community. I work very closely with I'm sorry, Miss Murphy, who was our parent liaison coordinator. And that's not her title. I'm sorry, her title is blank in my mind right now, but I work very close with her, with our community leaders to bring in things for the school that we were working for. And I also worked closely with the families to make sure that they had the services that they needed. So my job as secretary, I went above and beyond the job as secretary at the school. Often was there well past the time that I needed to be there. Every day, even on the weekends, on Sundays, on holidays. So it's just very important for me to give back to my community. I have always been an advocate for children and families. Prior to starting with St. Louis Public Schools, I was a parent mentor in my community. And I just think that this would offer me the opportunity to give back to them. And I'm sorry, I forgot the rest of your question.
My other part of the question is, I guess, what is the biggest obstacle that you see to getting the district back on track?
I don't see it as an obstacle. I do think that we have some hurdles that we need to overcome based on things that have happened last year and earlier this year. So I don't think that there are obstacles. I just think that there are temporary hurdles that we need to overcome. Some of those things are because I am familiar with the financial side. I know that we need to tighten up processes in the finance department, get some clarification on budget and spending and what we are actually allowed to spend money on. So I think that I can provide more information on the finance side to get over those temporary obstacles.
Thank you.
Secretary Jones?
Good evening. My name is Donna Jones. I'm board secretary. My question is, your experience over the years, you've had an opportunity to look at a lot of students and parents. So what do you think is our students' biggest problems? What are the biggest problems facing our students right now, in your opinion?
It's a holistic approach. We have to get teachers on board that actually care about educating our students, our community, and who are not just here for the financial part of it or the loan forgiveness part of it. We have to get parents invested in their children's education, and we have to start framing it as one of my things that I say to my children is we don't accept anything but excellence. We accept going as high and as far as you can go. So we have to start getting parents on board with that. I noticed when in my travels down south into other school districts that their focus is on getting their children into college and into the HBCUs that are down there. And sometimes I don't think that we push that enough in our community to get our parents to know that there is a future available for their children, whether it's college, trade school, military, or whatever. We need to start focusing on the future for the children and making sure the parents know that there is a path towards that future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Hubbard?
Well, Matt kind of stole my question. But I'm Emily Hubbard. I've been on the board since November of 22. And I guess I will ask the question, how do you work through conflict?
That's a good question. I am not someone who likes to, I'm somebody who likes to debate, but I don't like to argue. So how I work through conflict is to see what the problem is. We have to establish what the root problem is. And then we have to come to a middle ground to find a solution to the problem. I don't feel like it's a conflict as much as I feel like it's a problem that we need to get to the root cause of the problem and to a solution to the problem. That's how I handle everything.
Board Member Hikes?
Good evening, Ms. Miller. My name is Tracy Hikes. I've been a board member since 2023. And my question is, what do you think what effect do you think charter schools have on public school education?
As a parent whose daughter, one of my children, her whole life, she's been in the charter schools. I think that there are some positive benefits to charter schools because I'm looking at it in the what it did for my child. My child was someone who went to Montessori, Washington Montessori, and that's what she needed. She needed to be able to freely roam around the classroom and to get her hands involved in things. So unfortunately, there was no middle school Montessori school for her and no high school Montessori school for her. So we did have to pull her into a more suitable environment for her. Now, my other two children are products of St. Louis Public Schools. I think that charter schools have a role. I don't think that it should take away anything from our public schools. I think that they should work in together with each other instead of one being higher than the other. Unfortunately, I know that there are forces out there who want St. Louis Public Schools to fail so the charter schools can take over. I am not in support of that. I think that the charters do their part for the children that they help, but public schools do their part for the children that they help as well. I am also a product of St. Louis Public Schools. I don't think that I would have gotten the same education that I got if I had gone to a charter school.
Thank you, Ms. Miller, and it's up to me now. I am Ms. Cousins. I am the president of the board, and I have been on the board for 4 years now, and I am seeking re-election. With that, I want to ask you, what do you see the role of governance or the term governance when it comes to being a school board member, and how does that align with working in conjunction with the superintendent?
Well, thank you so much, because I actually researched this question for this interview. So from what I understand, the purpose of the board is to clarify the district's purpose and establish goals for the district. And I wrote notes, so I don't collaborate with the superintendent and the delegates that the superintendent names as her delegates, monitor the district and the superintendent's performance so we are not failing our children. I think our main goal and focus should be on educating our children so they can be on a path towards success. We also need to know how to connect with the community because these are our stakeholders. We have to be able to connect with them. We have to be transparent with them. We have to explain to them. Sometimes they don't understand how things on the board works or why things have been done on the board. They may think, oh no, why did they do that? But we have to be, if we can be more transparent to our parents, then there'll be less conflict and the media won't be able to feed them whatever story the media is feeding them. And the last thing, we have to be responsible for our board practices collectively and individually. If I have misstepped in some way as a board member, I have to be able to own that. And if the board has misstepped in some way, we all have to be able to own that as well, and just be transparent to everybody that we answer to, our stakeholders.
Thank you for that, Ms. Miller. And it looks like you have enough time to share why you are looking to be a part of this board, if chosen, and what you would do if put in this position.
Okay, thank you, Cousins. I wrote a little, it's not that long, I promise you guys. When my daughter was 3, I had the privilege of meeting Betty Robinson, the director of the YWCA Head Start program. We struck up a conversation and she shared details about the program. The very next morning, I called and enrolled my daughter. A few weeks later, there was a parent meeting and I learned that they were looking for volunteers to join the Parent Policy Council. The incumbent parent was up for re-election, and since I was new, I had no idea what the council did, but I knew I needed to get involved. The conversation with Ms. Robinson sparked something in me, and I decided to challenge the incumbent. We were asked to give a 2-minute speech about why we wanted a seat on the council. I hadn't prepared anything, and the incumbent went first. I honestly don't remember exactly what I said, but I'll never forget how all of the parents and staff stood and applauded me when I was done. I won the seat. This marked the beginning of my journey. With Ms. Robinson as my guide and mentor, I was able to gain confidence and learn so much more about being a philanthropic for my community. She placed me in roles where I could serve as the spokesperson for the Head Start program and as the Head Start parent liaison to the YWCA Board of Directors. I sat alongside incredible women, including the CEO of the company I worked for. Although I felt intimidated, I never let it show. I drew strength from the words of my favorite poem, If by Rudyard Kipling. In one of my speeches to the board, I recited these words: if you can make one leap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will wish to say to them, Tony Cousins, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. Of neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you. If all men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, woman, my son, daughter. Now, as St. Louis Public Schools goes through a transition, I know that as a community, we have a strength to endure and overcome. As a veteran, I have never been afraid to suit up and stand up for what I believe in, and I believe in St. Louis Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Miller, for your time. Thank you so much for your words. Now that you have completed your time, we do not want to take all of your time. We want to give you the time that you have back. Unfortunately, we have to continue because we have more interviews to conduct, but thank you once again for taking the time with us. And hopefully you were here for us soon. Thank you for working for the district, putting the time and commitment in, doing the service that you have, and good luck in your endeavors, and congratulations on receiving your master's degree.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye. Okay, Ms. Bond, how many more we got, darling?
Two, but currently no one is waiting to get.
Okay, we doing pretty good, huh?
Yes, we have two. The last one will be in at 7, so hopefully if they can get in a little earlier, we can start them earlier.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. We will go into yet another intermission. Okay.
taking a break, but if you guys wanted to get started early, we do have our next candidate waiting in queue.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Vaughn, you said our next person is here?
Yes, ma'am, she is.
Vice President Davis, Secretary Jones, are you available? All right, guys, we cooking with gas. Secretary Vaughn, who are we looking at?
Next we have, Velma Bailey.
Velma Bailey.
Mhm.
Okay, looks like we have everyone on. Is Ms. Bailey available?
Oh, now, she's connecting with audio. She says that she's connecting with audio, so I'm giving her time to.
You're fine, Ms. Vaughn. We see her. I see her trying to connect.
Okay.
Welcome, Ms. Bailey. If you are on, can you please turn your camera on? Good evening, good afternoon. Welcome once again, Ms. Bailey. I don't know why I keep doing that. Ms. Bailey, thank you for joining us tonight. I hope all is well with you and you're staying warm. We are going to do a roundabout as we get started. We're going to start with Vice President Davis. We'll do an introductory. After we do the introductory, he's going to start with a question and we'll go to the next board member and they will introduce themselves and answer a question as well and ask a question as well. And you will have the opportunity to answer if time permits. At the end, you will have the opportunity to state why you are looking to be a part of this board. With that said, we will get started with Vice President Davis. Vice President Davis, you are on.
Hi, Ms. Bailey. Although we've met, I'll reintroduce myself. My name's Matt Davis. I'm currently Vice President of the board. I've been on the board since April of 2021. My question for you is, you've been involved with the district for a long time. How would being on this board change the way that you work with the district?
Well, thank you for saying that, and good evening to everyone. I am really looking at this being my finest hour, working to serve as a member of the Board of Education. I have been with the district a long time. Since my high school graduation, it's been 50 years. In total, it's been 63 years. As a student, a parent, a teacher, an instructional coordinator, and an acting principal, and lately a volunteer and an advocate. One of the things that would change for me is that I would be able to take all the experiences that I've had and put them into one great opportunity to share some of the best practices, some of the history of things that did work in our district, and also to be able to bring a lot of the partnerships that I've been able to develop in the last 14 years, operating a non-school hours program after school, during holidays, and during the summer to the district to help focus better on student achievement.
Thank you for that. Did you have anything else, Vice President Davis?
No.
Okay, thank you. I will turn it over to you, Secretary Jones.
Good evening, Ms. Bailey. My name is Donna Jones. My question is, what do you see as one of the biggest problems in the education of our students?
Well, one of the things I've had a chance to do is see some of the things that are working well. I think a lot of the teachers and staff members in the district have come up against a lot of adversarial things that I didn't really face as a teacher. There's a lack of the number of teachers, school closings, just a lot of stresses that are going on. And then the virtual activity with the pandemic. But some of the good things that I do see going on is that I see a commitment, I see a resiliency, I see an opportunity for people to be even more committed in their instructional process. I was glad to see the group of principals get awarded because I'm sure, as our superintendent knows, our president and the rest of the board members, this is not a destination. It is a journey. We may have met a milestone, but there are still many more miles to go. So I'm looking for the reading programs to come back into the district that help our kids advance. I'm looking for some more strategic partnerships where our children can get an opportunity to practice, make a practical application of the skills that they're learning in the community so they can see the reality. And I like to bring up that we have brought a swimming program to the district, and we're looking forward to continuing it. It has a literacy component. It has an opportunity for children at 15 years of age to get a real job at $16 an hour to really focus on their character and also look at scholarships in swimming. And there's an up and coming swim team at the O'Fallon Rec Center, and they've been leaving the state, not just the city, winning competitions, and the children are really proud of themselves. And there's an academic component to be able to participate in that swim program. We've created also an opportunity for the children to be their own hero, to see themselves as a non-swimmer and then pick out a moment in the time that they were swimming that they were really proud of themselves and make a poster of it instead of creating somebody somewhere outside of themselves. Definitely intra-focused, and I like to see more of those kinds of opportunities in everything that the young people are doing. There's a literacy component, there's a cross-curricular component, there's an opportunity for the kids to learn about careers, be in small, close-knit communities. And believe it or not, we started the program and provided transportation, but there were several parents that were coming to the swim program. Some of them picked up their children, some of them brought their children and stayed the entire time and helped supervise. Some of the parents got in the pool with the children and learned how to swim. We had some parents that were teaching swimming to some of their siblings. We actually had kids from the St. Louis Public School District that came to the swim program from their school, and the parents brought siblings from the charter schools to be with their child that was in the St. Louis Public School District. And I said, boy, I wish I had a sign up. I get them to sign up to the St. Louis Public School District, and they could be a family. So those are the kinds of things I'm looking for, and those are the kinds of things I'm committed to doing. Because you know what? I don't have to put on airs. I don't have to fake it. That is me. That is who I am. And that's what I want to bring to the board. Support in policies, procedures, but also that relationship building that we need to make sure that our kids' needs are met and they know how important it is to be an academic student of excellence. And the other thing I want to do, this is going to be a secret now. I want to bring in a program that will help us have not only the #1 school in this state, the #2 school in the state, but we're going to get the #3 school in the state. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys to do it.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Board Member Hubbard.
Hey, Ms. Belma. I'm Emily Hubbard. I've been on the board since November of 22. And my question is, when there is controversy happening in the district, what are your priorities when it comes to addressing controversy?
Well, first of all, it depends on what level it happens at. But first of all, I feel that the board members' positions are, and my position will be to support the administration. And they have a level of operation that they have to participate in according to the policies and procedures of the district, confidentiality. But if it comes to the board, I'm willing to look at what the board's position would be in terms of following those same procedures and policies that we have. But definitely information to the press and to the public should follow a protocol that has been prescribed by the district.
Thank you once again, Ms. Bailey. Board Member Hikes. You're on mute, sir.
I help unmute myself. How you doing? My name is Tracy Hikes. I've been on the board since 2023. And my question to you is, sometimes as board members, we're not going to always get along. Sometimes we're going to disagree. But in that disagreement, we should not fall out because we should have one main goal. So how do you feel if you do have, how would you resolve a disagreement with a fellow board member?
Well, first of all, I think that disagreements are going to happen because everybody's coming to this particular venue with a different set of foundational information, a different set of background. I've definitely come with a level of expertise in instruction. Not only was I a teacher, but I was a parent of a child in the St. Louis Public School District. So my position is, first of all, to understand what the goal is of whatever it is we're discussing and keep that foremost. And also to speak directly to people, not about them. And if there is some place where there needs to be a level of expertise, then we need to be able to pull on the board members in their specific areas, but also the staff in the St. Louis Public School District to be able to resolve issues.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And last but not least, it will be me, Miss Bailey. Tony Cousins. I am the president of the board. I've served as a board member for the past 4 years. And as everyone should know, right now, I am seeking re-election. The question that I have for you is, what do you see and how do you define board governance? And what do you see that playing as working in alignment with the superintendent?
Well, first of all, I see as board governance as a board member being knowledgeable of the duties of the board, the policies of the board, and the interactions of the board and the school district. And also to be able to get the training that the Missouri School Board provides to make sure that I'm operating within the realms of whatever the policies and procedures are. But also, I think that a board member's job is to build relationships for the district, for the members of the board, for the students, to bring in resources as we set our goals, to know what things are needed and to go out and get them, to get opportunities for our young people, to get jobs, career internships, shadowing, to do whatever I can to be an advocate for public education, but specifically for the St. Louis Public School District. That's why I have not been void. This is not new to me. I am true to the St. Louis Public School District and its children. So whatever I can do to help support things. And I also feel that personally, since I do have an expertise in instruction and education and with partners outside of this district, it's going to be my job to bring those things to our district.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bailey. And now that you have utilized this time positively, you have the opportunity to move forward and provide your insight as to why you are looking to hold and fill this position as this open space as a board member. So what has possessed you to feel or to apply for this position at this time?
Well, I want to fill this position on the Board of Education because I feel like I have a lot to offer. I feel that I can help support the district. I feel that I have the integrity and respect of a lot of people in our community to be able to bring the kind of relationships that the board has and add to them to get the kind of support we need. I like to see us work more closely with the elected officials. I was ecstatic about the legislative breakfast and also the opportunity to go lobby. And when we were in Jefferson City, a lot of the people were really looking forward to seeing us. And Keisha Bosley was so happy to announce us that she even added my name to the list and said she was so proud that I was a retired educator of the year with the district. And I think people are listening now. They want to be more active with our group. And I want to be a person that helps bring that together. I also see an opportunity to start working with some of the issues related to the real estate. I like to share those things with you when I am appointed to the unexpired position. But there are some things that academically, I think the retired teachers, the Missouri Retired Teachers Group, and people can bring to this board. And I think I'm the person that can help support and lead that effort to get them involved.
Thank you once again, Ms. Bailey, for taking the time to be a part of this process. Now that you have participated in this time, we do not want to take all of your time. We want to yield and give you some time back to enjoy the rest of your evening. We hope that you are working diligently to stay as warm as possible. We know that the temperature is getting extremely cold tonight, and we want to make sure you're staying safe as possible. So right now we want to yield and give you your time back. Unfortunately, we are still going to have to be on this call because we have more interviews to conduct. and moving forward. But thank you so much for taking the time and showing the interest of being a part of this process.
Well, I want to thank all of you for giving me an opportunity. It's been I'm sure, a long battle for you in the off time that you've been in office and at the time that the superintendent has been in her position. But I just want to share with you and reiterate, it's been 63 years for me. And I'm looking forward to being a positive part of what's going to make this district put back the crown jewel in its crown.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, Ms. Bond, how we looking?
Final candidate actually waiting in queue, that is Ben Conover.
All right, if everyone is ready, we can move on into the final candidate. Well, Mr. Ben, is it Mr. Ben or Mr. Benjamin?
Mr. Ben. Mr. Ben.
Mr. Ben, welcome and thank you for taking the time to participate in this process. I am Ms. Cousins. We are going to go do a roundabout. We will start with introductions. As they do introductions, they will start with questions as well. So with that being said, we're going to start with Mr. Davis. He's the Vice President of the board. He will introduce himself and then start with questions. Mr. Davis, it's on you.
Sorry about that. Hi, Mr. Conover. My name is Matt Davis. I want to thank you for applying and thank you for your time tonight. I am Vice President of the board currently. I've been on the board since April 2021. My term expires this coming April. My question is, what from your perspective do you see as the biggest obstacle currently facing the district, and what skills could you bring to the board to help us overcome that obstacle?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Mr. Davis, for your service and for the question. So I think one of the biggest obstacles facing the district is the threat of privatization that is being pushed on us by outside folks, folks like the Opportunity Trust, folks up in Jeff City, and even some folks here in St. Louis, like We Power and et cetera, that are really trying to get their hands on the district and make influences in ways that will not benefit our students, the success of our students, and I think also the safety of our students, but broadly, the success of our students. And so that's certainly a big one. I would also say, that a big issue that I've noticed with the district, that the district is facing, is that unlike most districts in the state of Missouri, the district supports I think it's about 20% of the students in the district are designated as McKinney-Vento housing insecure. And so I think that's a big challenge for the district because we don't often get the support we need from our legislative partners in order to support those students. And so I would really like to use some of my own policymaking experience, legislative experience to help work with those partners at the Board of Aldermen at Jeff City to try to figure out how we can better support those students in their lives and provide the best supports we can in the district. Obviously we can't provide housing directly, but do whatever we can to support those students. So those are two, I would say, privatization and supporting students under that designation.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I will turn it over to Secretary Jones.
Good evening. My name is Donna Jones. I've been on the board since 2006. My question to you is, what do you see as our biggest problem in the education of our students right now?
Yeah, thank you, Secretary Jones, for the question and your service on the board. I would probably start in the same place I did when I answered Mr. Davis's question. Supporting students who are facing housing insecurity, I think, is one of the biggest challenges we face in educating our students in the district. Students who come in with the myriad of problems that are associated with that sort of housing insecurity, need extra support, need extra services. And so given that our district has a pretty high percentage of students with that designation, I think that's one really big issue where not only can we look to our legislative support partners to provide additional support, but we as a community can come together and figure out ways to better support those folks as well. I would also just say more generally, that's only 20% of the students in the district, but every student's facing the problem when they leave our doors of either after post-secondary education or whatever they choose to do, of finding a job. And I think one thing that we can do to continue to support that, regardless of how the economy is to support our trade programs. So I know we have a great program. I think it's at Beaumont, if I'm remembering correctly, which does trade prep for a lot of our students. And I think the more that we can work with the unions and the trades to provide direct pathways for our students towards jobs. Again, if they choose the college route, that's great, but also to have the trade option as well. I think that's really another way we can support one of the biggest challenges ultimately facing our students after they leave our doors. So I have some experience working with the unions. I'm a big ally of AFTs, and I worked on the No on Proposition A campaign against right to work and worked very closely with IBEW and a bunch of the other trades as well. So yeah, those are my answers. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you once again, Secretary Jones. Mr. Ben, I'll turn it over to Board Member Hubbard.
Hi, I'm Emily Hubbard. I've been on the board since November 22. So many of my questions have already been part of it. I guess we are, in a network of organizations that all just coexist or not in the city. How will you make decisions, build relationships or not build relationships based on stated goals? Does that make sense?
If you could clarify the partners you're referring to, that would help me, I think, answer the question. Otherwise, I understand.
Basically everybody.
Okay. Yeah.
Unions, city governments, philanthropic organizations. How do you see working with people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the more of the community that we can bring in to support our public schools, the better. Different sections of the community aren't always going to agree as to what even the goal is or what we should be prioritizing. But the more we can get voices at the table to give us their perspective and work with them to incorporate that perspective into how we fulfill the goals that we have as a board, that we have as a district, I think is really important. I would love to see more support for the district from not only the philanthropic community, but just the community in general. I say that I think there is huge pockets of support for the district in the community, but we definitely have faced criticism as a district, and so I would love to try to get those folks back on board and feeling like they're a part of pulling the rope in the same direction, as it were. So yes, I think the more we can bring community partners together to solving the issues and achieving the goals that we have as a district, that's for the best. I will just say, I think to close, that I do think that there are some organizations out there, I've named a couple of them, the Opportunity Trust being one of the main ones, that don't really have the best interest of our district at heart and our students at heart. And I find it harder to partner with those folks in terms of their support if they want to support the district, their support of the district. And I think that just comes from having completely unaligned goals about the future success of our students and districts. So I take that threat very seriously, and I think it's really important for the board to continue, as you all have done, as the current board in the last few years, especially, oppose those sorts of forces. So I'll say that as well.
Okay. I'll just say I'm glad to be in the union with you.
Yes. Yeah. Board Member Humber and I are in the same union at St. Louis University. I'm an educator and graduate student there. So.
Board Member Hikes.
How you doing, Mr. Conover? My name is Tracy Hikes. I've been on the board since 2023, and like Board Member Hubbard, most of my questions have been answered, but I'm gonna ask this. I'm gonna reuse old questions. We don't always get along. We're gonna have conflict, and even though we might have conflict, we still have to work together. So, how would you be able to come and resolve some conflict with with your expertise, so to speak? Just as if you and I didn't get along on a certain issue.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for the question, Board Member Hikes, and I really appreciate your service. And Board Member Hubbard, I should have said that as well when you were asking your question. I appreciate your service as well. Yeah, solving conflict, one of the most important things a board can do within itself, and also solving conflicts external to us that affect us, such as conflicts we have with legislators or conflicts we have with community partners. That's a top priority. I'll start with the board context. I think we're not always gonna, necessarily agree, at least at first, on what the best way to support the success and safety of our students is. But when we do face those conflicts, I think it's important to not just let them fester, but to have really intentional conversations together about what our different perspectives are on those issues and see if we can find some common ground. But even if we can't find some common ground, build a relationship there to know that we can trust each other, trust our goals and intentions together, individually as board members and individually in our roles on the board, to solving those issues. So, you might, let's say you think X and I think Y or something like that, right? Maybe we're never going to see eye to eye on that issue, but the next time an issue comes up, maybe because we built a relationship talking through that issue, you and I can work together on whatever that further policy or procedure or what have you may be. I think externally, when we're facing conflicts with respect to how the legislature supports the district, or how the city supports the district, I think it's important to really call out as if we, agree as a board, what we see as the problem that's facing us from the support from the legislature or from the city, and make sure that we are aligned and clearly stating that problem and come to the table, whatever table that ends up being, with solutions in mind on how they can better support us, and clear directives on what we're looking for in terms of that support. Again, I think building relationships there is super important. I'm lucky enough to have relationships with members of the legislature in Jeff City currently, members of the Board of Aldermen currently here in the city, where I think that's a pretty good place to start. I, not too many years ago, worked for the Missouri Democratic Party and was able to help with the policy making and working with the legislators there. So that's another piece of the puzzle. I think that I bring a lot of legislative experience in that sense, in supporting legislators and supporting policymaking, that I would like to apply at the board in all sorts of ways. So I hope that goes a little beyond your question, but also answers the question about conflict directly, Mr. Hikes.
Thank you, Mr. Ben. And finally, it will be me. I'm Ms. Cousins, Tony Cousins. I'm the president of the board. I've been on the board for the past 4 years, but of course you know that. I have had the desire for some reason to run one more term. With that being said, I will have the question to ask, can you please tell me how do you define board governance? And how do you feel that relates to the role in working in conjunction with the superintendent?
Yes, thank you for your question, President Cousins, and thank you for your service on the board. And of course, good luck with your re-election campaign. As a campaign worker myself for many, many years, those campaigns are never easy. So I wish you the best of luck to you and your team. In terms of governance with the board and the relationship with the superintendent, I am aware that there are certain statutes in the revised statutes of the state of Missouri that govern that relationship to some extent. Not just directly the relationship with the superintendent, but the role of the board as a whole. So, that's making policies, levying taxes, investing funds of the district, our role in managing property, providing transportation, and of course, the role of hiring and firing the superintendent. I think as a board, we should be supporting board leadership in that relationship with the superintendent, however we can within those guidelines. So not only just being there to say, you know, good job or bad job or whatever, but also in whatever way we can within the legally possible parameters of helping the superintendent meet the needs of the district. You know, they're really involved in the day-to-day operations. We're more involved at this higher governing level, policy-making level. But those aren't mutually exclusive. They can be symbiotic in very, very important ways. Now I say that I don't think that, you know, non-leadership individual board members should be trying to get the superintendent to make individual decisions or anything like that. That would be well outside the bounds of our role. But I think we should be working as a team to support our board leadership and developing a strong relationship with the superintendent and making sure that, you know, we hired, not me directly, of course, but we hired them, the board hired them. And so supporting them in their work and their vision for the district, I think is super important. And of course, holding them accountable when they're not supporting the district as, you know, I don't want to speak out of turn, but as I think we've seen recently. So yeah, I think that's what I'll say, but I really appreciate the question.
Thank you, sir. Looks like you have successfully made it through this round. With that being said, you have saved enough time to be able to let us know what sparked your interest in applying for this open and what you would do if you are chosen to hold this position.
Yes, thank you. So I think I'll take the opportunity to sort of introduce myself and why I think I'd be a good member of this board. And I think that'll sort of go to explaining why I am running or making myself a candidate in the first place. So I'm an educator currently. I've been an educator for about 4 years of my life at the college level. I'm also a student, but I teach a number of classes at St. Louis University currently. But in addition to that, I've also been an instructor for chess and an instructor as a secondary program in a middle school where we went in and taught critical thinking skills to folks in public school in Irvine, California when I was in grad school. So that was quite a while ago, but it was a good experience. But I say that to say that I have some perspective on what it takes to be an educator, not necessarily in SLPS, but in general. And I come from a family of educators. So the importance of education is really, really ingrained in me from day one. I think the other really important driving piece for me is I'm an anti-privatization, pro-public goods advocate. So I've been doing a lot of advocacy in partnership with the Parent Action Council and through a group called Solidarity with SLPS. Sorry, that's my cat in the background there, if you can hear that. Through Solidarity with SLPS, trying to help protect funding for the district. So we, I think it was 2022, we saved 17 million from being diverted to charter schools from the district. At the legislature, I was also involved in some of the efforts around the omnibus bill last cycle. And so I think I can bring these experiences that I have both in the education realm and in the pro-public goods advocacy realm to bear on helping the district and making positive steps forward on both of those ends. You know, we have a very important and growing role, and I think this board has done a great job in establishing a relationship with the legislature to pass the sort of policies that we need at that level. And I think that's something I can really contribute to as well. I'm also a union member. I'm a member of UAW, an education in the education wing at St. Louis University. I've also been a member of CWA and CWG. That's the Campaign Workers Guild, that last one. City resident for over 15 years of my life. And I think these are all, you know, parts of me that bring hopefully a good candidate to the Board of Education. So I think what I can help with at the board and why I'm making myself a candidate is help with those legislative role, really help with policy making at that level and, you know, support the district however I can to pass a sort of policies at the different legislatures that we can, and also internally, of course. And I think I bring a very strong anti-privatization perspective, which I think a lot of the board members here already have, but something that we need to continue to protect as board members change and the threat does not go away from certain folks in the city and outside of the city. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. That's why I'm running. You know, I want to bring those skills to bear on the board and help support board leadership and the board as a whole in any way I can. This district's very important to the city. I don't think the city always realizes how important it is to the city, especially since, those are students, residents of this city. So yeah, I'm here to support and be a productive member.
Yeah, Mr. Ben, it looks like you really have been into this because you keep thinking that you're running and you're really not running. You're just-
You're absolutely right. They told me that down at City Hall. I got the tax exemption form or whatever today, and they were like, "You're not on the
You're not
ballot, right?"
running. Yeah,
I
you're
was
not
like,
on
"I'm
the
not."
ballot. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time. Like we've stated to the others, we are going to yield back to you and give you the rest of the night to you. Unlike you, we still have work to do. So thank you for committing your time and allowing us to ask you the questions that we've been able to ask. Thank you for committing to even going through this process and having an interest to serve on the board and for all the work that you are doing and your commitment. I do remember Solidarity. I'm not going to talk about you. I will reminisce when I ran. I'm not going to talk
Yes,
about
ma'am.
Yeah, I remember, just so you know. But thank you for your ongoing commitment to the hard work for this district and the passion that you have. So thank you for that once again. So with
Absolutely.
that,
Thank you, President Cousins, and thank you for your excellent service on the board.
Thank you, sir. So with that, we'll give you your time back and enjoy the rest of your night and try to stay as warm and safe as possible.
Y'all as well. Y'all have a good day. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. All right, Ms. Vaughn. As you know, I always lean on you, Ms. Secretary. Does that conclude our interviews? All right, Mr. Davis, with this being not necessarily. With that, I guess we will take a tally. We will go into closed session.
No, if we're gonna vote on the candidate, that has to be an open session.
It'll be an open session.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is there a process we're doing this, or how are we gonna call names and do votes, or how are we doing this?
Do you want to do it like we do when we do the board reorganization and officer elections? Just call the roll and say the person that you want? Do we want to have discussion first?
That's fine, whatever works for you all. This was part of governance. My apologies, sir. This is part of this was part of governance. This was part of the policy that we created, if I'm not mistaken, was it not?
I thought my job was just to get us here and then hand it off to the presiding officer.
So with that said, we have how many candidates? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates. Is that safe to say, Ms. Vaughn?
Ma'am.
So we're going to call Miss Kim? I'm sorry, Qual?
First candidate was Kim Qualls.
Kim Qualls.
My suggestion, and again, we could do it however you want, but you know how when we do officer elections, we just call the roll, and then the person when your name is called, you say
Who it
who
is.
you want, and then we can tally it up. I don't know if we want to have discussion first.
Let's do discussion.
Okay.
All right.
Rather do like approval voting. I'm voting. There are several candidates I would be comfortable with, and
So
I would be
so
happy to say, these 4 are great. But these 3 are fine with me, rather than picking one person, because that's the beauty of democracy. But I feel like
I really didn't quite understand what you were saying, Board Member Hubbard. Are we going with process of elimination? Are we saying we have 5 candidates? Out of the 5 candidates, are we going to go with process of elimination to go down to the final 5, to go down to the final 4, final 3, final 2? Is that what we're looking to do? To go into discussion to do that, or what are we looking to do?
Was it the show? Right. So it hasn't been, when did you speak?
Okay, so to speak, just say for instance, I have the person I would like.
Okay.
So I can say that person. I'm not gonna go I'm not gonna do a process of elimination. I'm just gonna, the person I want is this person. And that's how I'm gonna do it.
Okay,
So I can state that person now if I like, or whatever the case may be.
okay,
then
so you're,
Have one vote.
okay. So I see what you're saying. You're saying if Ms. Vaughn do roll call, like what Vice President Davis is saying, and doing roll call, and she go with you, Board Member Heights, and you say the person. And
Right.
once you say the person, and then she calls, Secretary Jones. If Secretary Jones wants that person, then she will vote for that person. If not, she will say no.
Or she'll vote for whoever she wants to vote for. Cause then, if somebody has 3 votes and somebody has 3 votes, then, you know what I mean? If I'm making sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
okay, Board Member Hubbard, what were you trying to say?
I was trying to say that this is a lot of information to take in and make a decision on right this second. But I feel more comfortable saying these people are fine with me instead of picking one, which I guess means I would, kind of be led by the rest of the board.
So, do you want to do it like the approval voting in the city? So everybody picks 2, and then the top 2 vote getters are our final 2, and then we vote on the final 2?
That works. Is that too much work?
Secretary Jones, what say you?
I say that we call each person's name and you give the 2 people you like, and then whoever gets the most votes on whichever person, then it's the person we can go with.
Vice President Davis?
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
It don't matter, that's what the problem is.
I mean, that's
Okay.
kind of what we were saying, I think. But yeah, so we just do 1 round unless it's tied.
Okay. Let's go.
So
Ms.
everybody
Vaughn,
says 2 names of who you'd like.
Okay.
Ms. Vaughn, do you understand that?
Secretary, I am going to do the roll call, and as I call your name, you are going to give me 2 names, correct?
Take it back.
Okay. Oh, I got it.
Board Member Heights, you got a lot of feedback there, sir. Okay. Ms. Vaughn, you can start, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Heights. Your 2 names.
My names are Ben Conover and Velma Bailey.
Is it my turn?
Yes, Ms. Hubbard, can you give me?
Sorry. Sabrina Miller and Kim Squalls.
Ms. Jones, your 2 names?
My 2 names are Shani Cole and Kim Squalls.
Mr. Davis, your 2 names?
Ben Conover and Velma Bailey.
All right, Ms. Cousins, your 2 names?
Ben Conover and Velma Bailey.
Okay, so our 2 finalist names that have 3 votes each is Ms. Velma Bailey and Mr. Ben Conover.
So now we'll call the roll again, and you have to pick either Velma Bailey or Ben Conover, correct?
So this one will go for Velma Bailey. Mr. Heights?
I can just vote for 1 now, correct?
Yes.
Ben Conover.
So that's a no on Velma. Okay, Ms. Hubbard? Velma?
Sure.
You said Ben Conover?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Jones?
Velma Bailey.
Mr. Davis?
Ben Conover.
Ms. Cousins?
Ben Conover.
Okay, so that leaves our vote to 1 yes, 1, 2, 3, 4 no's for Velma, and that is 4 yeses and 1 no for Ben. So motion is to approve Ben Conover.
So it's been moved for Ben Conover to be to fill the position for the board member for the vacancy. Notification should be sent. Ben Conover should be sworn in as the board member at the next board meeting. Ms. Vaughn, can you please send notification to Ben Conover that he's been moved and voted as the new board member, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll move to adjourn open session and go into closed session pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute 610021 subsection 3 to discuss personnel matters.
Second.
Ms. Vaughn,
So second.
I need a vote, ma'am.
That is Mr. Hyde,
Yes.
Ms. Hubbard,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Cousins,
Yes.